Get uncapped internet from as little as $500 million a month. Contact us now or find us on Facebook. Whitehall, your internet service provider.
Grade 12s. This is then a part of the workshop on number system. So we have quite a few questions here on different levels. Right, the first one says, at noon one day the temperature was negative 9.5 degrees. By midnight it has fallen by 3.6 degrees. What is the temperature? So that means we are going below further, and you actually have to add those two. This is actually minus 3.6, and the answer is then negative 13.1 degree. Right, question 2. Insert brackets to make the following statement correct. Now this is an error and trial question. There's no formula that we can use here. So you'll have to keep on trying to see if you do what, that you get that answer of 3. This is where BOTMAs, those BOTMA rules are very important here. So what will make it 2? If we just say 6 minus 9, then we're going to get a negative 3, isn't it? That one is not going to work. 3 minus 4, if you first do that, then we get negative 1. So then we still don't have an answer. Negative 1 plus 5, that will not work. So you'll have to try to see what is going to work here. Look at this one, 6 minus 9, but then we get negative 3, so that's why that one is not correct then there. Another method will be, so this is now where I error and trial. So another method would be, for instance, to say 3 minus 4, which is negative 1. And negative 1 times 2 is negative 2 plus 5, and that is then 3. So that would be the correct one. So it's just error and trial. The nth term means that is your sequence, that is your pattern, that's the rule that we have there. And they provide you with a formula, n squared plus 2. N stands for any number, the 5th term, the 4th term, the 10th term. That's what n stands for. And now they want the 4th one, so all that we're going to do is to substitute. So 4, it's important that you always substitute in brackets, 4 squared plus 2, and the answer is then 18. Use your calculators. So on our calculators, we use brackets, 4, close the bracket, squared, plus 2 is equal to. Make sure that you know how to use your calculators. Write these fractions in order with the smallest first. Now, when we get these comparisons, we have to change them to the same thing, percentages, or usually we change them to decimals. So 33 divided by 50 is 0.66. 2/3 to divide by 3 is 0.667 recurring. And 6 divided by 10 is 0.6. When we compare them now, we look in the first place at the first decimal. So now we see all of them are 6. So that won't determine which one is the smallest. Now we look at the second one. There's another 6, there's another 6, but here is a 0. That's why 6 out of 10 is your smallest number. And the next one, if we look now at the third one, here it's a 0, but there it is a 7. So it will be 33 out of 50. And the last one is then 2/3. And look that I also write them in the original given formation, not as the decimal. You will lose a mark if you do that. Question 5. Work out. So all that I do there is on my calculator, 43 to the power of, look, you will see there is a button, x to the power of 3. Use that one. Is equal to, and they say write the full calculator display. So I got 79507, all the numbers, the full display. And now they want us to round it off to the nearest 1,000. Now remember, that rounding is always half of what they say. So what is a half of 1,000? 500, isn't it? So we have to look at this one now. Is this more than 500? Yes. So that means I have to round up, which makes it 80,000. So you're going to look there, and the 5, because it's 507, I will round up. Change 5.6 meters into kilometers. We'll have to divide here with 1,000, 1, 2, 3 places. So it is then 0.0561 kilometers. Change this into millimeters. This time I need to multiply with 1,000. So it's 15.3 and then 2 more zeros. I times with 1,000. Question 7. The length of a mirror is 15.6 centimeters, correct to the nearest millimeter. Now, when they work with different units, it's sometimes difficult. So I find it easier to first change this one now to millimeters. There's 10 millimeters in a centimeter. And then half of 1 millimeter is now plus or minus 0.5. Half of 1 millimeter is plus or minus 0.5. And this is those lower and upper bounds. So now you add or subtract that, which makes it now 156.5 or 155.5. And then you will see the answer is given in centimeters. So I'm going to change now just back to centimeters, which will make it 15.55. And this one in centimeters, 15.65. 15.65. Question 8. Write your answer in standard form. Now first we have to do the sum. You'll have to use brackets here, otherwise we won't get the correct answer. Now on your calculator, there's a button at the bottom which says 10 to the power of x. Can you see that one? This is what we're going to use here. So brackets, 2.6, 10 to the power of x, negative 3, close the bracket, plus another bracket, 9.1 times that 10, and negative 4, and close the bracket. So I got 3.51 times 10 to the power of negative 3. It's a decimal answer, so that's why it's 10 to the power of negative 3. Remember, standard form means only one digit, only one number in front of that point to change it there. And then the last one, the distance from Buenos Aires to Wellington are so many kilometers. Now here's a nice one to show it here. What is standard form? One digit times 10 to the power of n. So the 1 digit is the first number. And what is the first number here? 1. Okay, and then how many places do you move this one? Look here. 1, 2, well, actually from there we move 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is times 10 to the power of 4. Times 10 to the power of 4. Right, page 2. Rewrite this calculation with each number rounded to one significant figure. So we must first do that to change these numbers to one significant figure, each of them. So 13.5 to one significant figure will be 10, because it's not more than 5. 16, there's one significant figure. This will be 20. 4.8 to one significant figure, the 8 will influence there, so it is 5. Minus 22, so what is 22? 20, because the 2 won't influence it. And then this is divide by, and 13 is then also 10. So that's rounding it to one significant figure. Now they say use your answers. Don't do it on the calculator here. Use this to get your answer there to one significant figure. So it's 10 plus 30, divide by 5 minus 2 that we're going to do there. I have it that it's 30 over 5 minus 2. You see, 20 divided by 10 is 2. So 30 divided by 3, and that will give us an estimated answer of 10. Then they say, use your calculator to find the original calculation correct to 3 significant figures. Now it would just be good if you could use extra brackets there. Otherwise, you're going to get wrong answers. And then we do it on our calculator. So on your calculator, brackets, 13.5 plus 16, close the bracket, is equal to divide by another bracket here, 4.8 minus, and now we have to use those brackets also there, 22 divide by 13, close the bracket, is equal to SD. Look, I got 9.49257, and they say rounding it off to 3 significant figures. Remember, significant figures work from the left. So 1, 2, 3, so it would be 9.49. Your answer would be 9.49. Question 11. The highest mountain in Argentina is Aconcagua. Its height is 6960 meters. Now here comes the maximum error. Correct to the nearest 20 meters. Half of that unit, half of 20, means it will be plus or minus 10. And now they say find the smallest possible height. So we just have to subtract the 10 there, which makes it 6950. Only want the smallest one there. Question 12. Which of the numbers below is not a rational number? What is a rational number? I can write it as a fraction. Decimals or vulgar fractions, plus or minus, that is rational. Now the only one that I cannot write as a fraction will be this one. I'll have to round it off. Press your calculator to make sure, but you'll have to round that one off. Right, the next one is number 13. Number 13. So we have a list of numbers again. From the values, write down the smallest one. I need to change them to decimals. So this one is 0.0, no, sorry, just 0.72. I divide by 100. We've got that one. This one is 0.7. This one is 0.07. And the last one is 0.072. Remember, if you see that sign, you divide with 100. Now we need to find the smallest number. And the smallest one, we're going to look at the decimals and the decimal places, and we start with the first position. So if we look now here, this one is a 0. That one is a 7, so that won't be the smallest. There's another 7. Here's again a 0 in the first position. And here's another one in the first position. Now, which of those numbers are now the smallest? This one and this one are actually the same. Can you see? Here we only have 0.07, so that one is the smallest, 7 out of 100. The next one says the largest number. The largest number. So obviously these ones are now out. So now we're looking at the first place, decimal place, and that's a 7. There's a 7. And here's a 7. Those are the ones with a 7. Okay. Here the next one is 0. The next one is also 0. And this one is a 2. So this is going to be the largest number, and that is then 72%. 72%. And now we've already seen that this one and this one are the same. So 0.072 is equal to 7.2%. It's equal to 7.2%. Right, question 14. An integer n is such that it lies between 60 and 70. Look, there's a limit. You must the whole time think of those numbers. Now we need to find a number which is prime in that list. What is a prime number? A prime number is only divisible by 1 in itself. 1 is not prime. 2 is the only even prime number. So there's only 2 factors, the number 1 and the number itself. And you'll have to test them there. So it is 61. It will be odd numbers because 2 is the only even one. So you test the odd numbers, and the next one is 67. A multiple of 9, we know that's 63. And what square number do we have there? 64. 64. The table below shows the average monthly temperatures in those cities. Work out the difference between the highest and the lowest one. But now remember, we work with a thermometer. So this is positive values and this is negative values. So if you're already negative and you go down, then you're not subtracting but adding. Okay, so what is the highest temperature? And this is the highest temperature is 1. And the lowest temperature will be this -9. -9. So the difference between the two is then 10 degrees. And then the highest recorded temperature for July was X. This is 21 above the average for July shown in the table. Work out the value of X. Now the average for July is -9. And so from 21 to -9, we have 13 degrees. Question 15. Choose one of the symbols given above to complete the statements. And now we've got X is 6, Y is 7. So obviously X is more than Y. 6 is more than -7. But now here we have to square them. So it is 6 squared. And it's vitally important that you substitute in brackets and the 2 is outside. Do it like this on your calculator. Otherwise, you're going to get wrong answers. And then the 7, look at the same thing. In brackets and the square outside. This is 36. This is 49. So it's going to be less than. You shouldn't get negative 49, positive 49. And then the last one, y minus x. So negative 7 minus 6 is negative 13. And 6 minus 7 is positive 13. So this is again less than there. Right. Question 16. Question 16. Write 0.48 correct to one significant figure. So here we are. There is one significant figure. You remember, you don't look at the 0. The first one must be a number, not 0. So will the 8 influence the 4? Yes. So it will be 0.5. 0.5. Find an approximate answer by rounding each correct to one significant figure. It's like the question we had just now. So one significant figure will make this one 10. One significant figure will make this one 6. Now look at this one. One significant figure is there, which will make it 0.5. So 10 minus 6 times 0.5. BODMAS, I'll still have to look at BODMAS. So it means first that half of 6 is then 3. And 10 minus 3 is equal to 7. And then calculate the exact value. So now on our calculators, we press 9.87 minus, and I'll use brackets there, 5.79 times 0.48, close, is equal to, and the answer is 7.0908, full calculator display. Can you see? I have to write down everything then there. Right, question 17. Sequences, geometric sequences, because we draw patterns. The diagram shows the sequence of dots and lines, and we have to draw the next one now there. So you'll have to draw it very nicely, not just not a rough one. It must be very similar. So now I will have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines, and then also here. There's my shape. Okay, then they say complete the table for the numbers of dots and lines. So dots we have now, and here we have to find a pattern. And you can see that every time it is 3 more. So this one will be 13, 16, and 19. How many lines are in the pattern with 99 dots? So you have to find that pattern there. Now, there's a very nice formula, A plus N minus 1D. And this works actually very nice if you know this. So A is your first term. The first term here is 4. N stands for the number 99. So what is 99 minus 1? 98. And D stands for the common difference. So what is the difference every time here? 3. So if you substitute a 3 then in there, and if we just do that calculation, I got 298. You see, that's much easier to sit in error and trial on your calculator. Let me just take you through this again. That is the formula that we use. This is for a sequence where you add or subtract. And this is what we call A, the first term. N is how many, so that's where I got the 99. And the common difference is the plus 3 that we have here all the time. You multiply those two and add the 4, and then we can get it. Now, even to get the next one, you can also use that formula. So this is then in general, So it is then, we'll start there with 4 plus, so I'm still using this. Stick to the n minus 1 because I must find n, and the common difference is 3. And if we simplify this, just remember we multiply in there, then we have 3n, and 4 minus 3 is 1. There's my formula. Much easier than sitting and trying to find that one. And to find the last one, 85 lines, so now I can just equate this one to 85, so 3n plus 1 is equal to 85, and then I get that the number of dots is 28. Once you've got that formula, it's then very easy. Remember this one. Remember this for A is the first term, D is the common difference. It will help you a lot. Question 18. Work out. Again, I need to use BODMAS. So this one's answer is 15. Question 19. The mass of a meat pie is 432, correct to one significant figure. So what does that mean? Write the mass correct to one significant figure. This is where one significant figure is. So will the 32 influence that one? No, because it's not more than half. But I need to keep the place value. You can't throw that away. It's not 4. I must keep the place value. This was 1,000 there. Arrange the following in order of size. We change them all to decimals. We've seen this now. 0.03 divide by 88. 0.03409. Got that one, and that one is 0.04. Again, when we have to compare them, we look at the first decimal place. There's a 0, there's a 0, there's a 0. Then we look at the next one. Now I've got a 3, I have a 4, and a 4. So this is the smallest one, 3 over 88. And then I can look at the next one, 0.43, 0.4. So there is a higher one. So it will first be 4%, and then it will be 0.043. Write the next two terms of the sequence. Again, you must find the pattern now. What is common difference? What do I keep on adding? A half, isn't it? So it is 2 and a half. And then write down the 12th term of this sequence. So I will just keep on adding, or I can make use of my formula, A plus N minus 1D. Remember this formula that we looked at now? What is A? What is the first term? A half. Plus, now we want the 12th term. 12 minus 1 is 11. And what is the common difference? Also a half. So it is a half of 11 plus a half, and that gives me 6. And then the nth term, again, let's use our formula here. So it is a half plus n minus 1. I must find n. The common difference is a half. We have to multiply it in here. So it is then a half n, and then plus a half minus a half is, so it remains a half n. Right, so we'll continue this worksheet in a second lesson. Thank you.
Win free airtime with One Africa TV. Share your comments on the channel. WhatsApp your feedback Name and town to 081-200-6659. One Africa TV. It just